All right, it's number 11 from 3-1. We're asked to graph this function right here, k of x, negative 0.2 x squared, and compare it to the parent function. The parent function we know is f of x, excuse me, equals x squared. So how is it different? How is it similar? Okay, so this is just an ax squared term, which means our parabola is going to be somewhere centered on the y-axis. So in order to graph this, I'm going to set up kind of my standard inputs onto a table. I'm going from -2 to 2, and then I'm going to plug those values in for x using a calculator, and then I'll plot the points, and I'll be able to see kind of what's going on. So let me grab my calculator here. I'm going to start with my -0.2. Make sure you do the negative there at the beginning, not subtraction. If you do subtraction, you'll see this. It's going to try to take it off of the previous answer. But we want negative, and here I'll do that 0 in there too, 0.2. All right, so it looks just like this. Now I want to input a -2, so in parentheses, I'm going to do -2, and I'm going to square it. Now putting that -2 in parentheses is very important because we want it to be -2 times -2. So that's going to be a -0.8. Now sometimes the decimals throw people a little bit, but that's okay. It's between 0 and 1. Between 0 and -1. And we'll just kind of graph it in its approximate location. All right, so let's go ahead and do -1. I'll just pull that back up, over type, and make that -1 squared. That is a -0.2. Bring it back up. Now this time I need to actually delete. So I use the delete key, the del key, which is the same on the blue calculators that you guys use. If you just do that, it will get rid of just 1. Now I can overtype to make that a 0. Enter, my answer is 0. Now I can pull it back up, or on your guys' calculators, you can just use the arrows to go back over. On mine, I have to pull it back up first. All right, so we got -0.2, and then pull it back up one more time. I'm going to input a 2, -0.8. Okay, now these are just coordinates. I just need to graph them. My x value, so from the origin, I'm going to go to the 2 to the left, -2, and I'm going to go down -0.8. So this does sometimes throw people a little bit. So it's really important that we kind of understand what it's talking about. We're not all the way down to -1. We're at 0.8. So instead of going all the way down to me, what feels like exactly -1, I'll just be a little bit higher than that. So that's perfectly reasonable for -2, -0.8. At -1, I'm down -0.2. So kind of just really under 0. I'm at 0, 0 for the origin. And then I know my axis of symmetry is the y-axis. So really I can do visually. I can just plot these over on the other side. But can also use the numbers 1, -0.2. So right about here. And you can see how that's a mirror image. 2, -0.8. So not quite down to -1 all the way. That graph is looking good. I'm going to connect this. Just kind of making like that. Right. And this is clearly quite a bit different from our parent function. I've got the parent function graphed on another piece of paper here I can show you. All right, the vertex at the origin, it's oriented up. As I go to the left and right 1, I'm going up 1 because 1 squared is 1. As I go to the left and right 2, I go up 4 because 2 squared is 4. So there's a lot of changes here. On the equation, on the parent function, it's just x squared. Here we have this -0.2. So that is causing a reflection. It's causing it to go upside down because of the negative. And then because it's 0.2x, it's actually a shrink. This number is smaller than 1, or really we would do the absolute value, right? 0.2, smaller than 1. It's negative, so it's underneath. So we have a reflection. And again, the reflection is from the negative, and a shrink by a factor of 0.2. Oh, let me move that up just a little bit. So this is the graph. This is compared to the parent function. That's what they asked for. I'll just mention a couple other things here. We have an axis of symmetry going right down the middle at the y-axis. Right, so this is splitting that graph in half. So I can add that here to just my notes. Axis of symmetry. And that is at the line x equals 0. And then let's see, what else do I have? Maybe I'll just mention the domain and range. It's always good habits to do. The domain, because this curve is going clearly to the left and to the right, X is all real numbers, right? The domain refers to the x-axis. It is not, however, going forever up and down. So once we get to the range, we're going to recognize that it's been limited. We actually have a top value here. We have a maximum. The vertex right here is our maximum, and the y value is for everything below that. So I will write y is all real numbers, but y is less than or equal to 0. It's everything below 0. And that's due to the reflection, which is due to that negative number right out front. Hope that's helpful. Message me anytime with questions.